feel like I always come on here to say I just did the coolest thing of my career. And lots of gratitude to the universe because I do get to do a lot of really cool things. And I'm kind of that proof where I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers anymore. I mean, I did with Ghost Girl Diaries, but I don't have, millions of followers on my personal social media, and I always get these really cool opportunities. I've done a lot of cool stuff. Obviously, filming with Zak Bagans from Ghost Adventures, working with him, becoming friends with him, working with, lots of different companies with, sci-fi within the ghost hunters, realm of that world, and shooting all my own documentaries and winning film festivals. I never even thought I would have submitted my art, my film art, to film festivals and win. Now, and like moving forward and going into social media influencer status and being recognized, from Motionless, from Motionless and White. I think a lot of people would have said that the biggest thing, the coolest thing I've done so far is work with Motionless and White. And from the outside, that's kind of cool for you guys, because I know that they're a big metal band, and especially in the goth community, like Chris is very important in the community that I'm a part of, but that was by accident. You know what I mean? Like, I was not necessarily manifesting. I mean, I kind of was when we were kind of messaging back and forth on social media, when Chris found my content and he found, my makeup artist status. And that was really flattering that, he liked the way I did makeup, obviously, and it pushed me into the trajectory of working with them on set and doing makeup. But it's even beyond that now. It's weird because for a long time, I mean, you guys have heard my podcast, and, a lot of you are my OGs. You've been here since, the prime of my very first YouTube channel and Ghost Girl Diaries. And, I was trying to figure out a way how to bring the worlds together, my worlds together, like one world, which is like paranormal and spooky and ghost hunting. And, that's where I really think I thrive the most. And I told you guys, I think I needed to miss it in order to come back to it, which I'm there now. But then for the last 2 years, I've been sort of developing myself and going back to my roots as a, cosmetologist and makeup artist. And for a long time, I was like, how am I gonna bring the two worlds together? Because both worlds are equally as important to me. Even when I was just doing Ghost Girl Diaries, I was still very girly and like the opposition of what the paranormal community is, which is all men. Not only was I girly, but I wasn't just the girl next door. Like, the typical female investigator in paranormal is Chris Williams and Amy Bruni, right? Like the girl next door, little to no makeup, straight, kind of plain hair, bangs, jeans and t-shirt kind of girl. And I am not that. This next step to come in my life for me to be like, oh, now it all makes sense. I did a podcast with my mom. It's a ways back, but you can find it on, Spotify. It's literally says like podcast with my mom or whatever. And it's, before she died, and we talk about this. We talk about how I was obsessed with Elvira as a kid. And I want to touch base on that again. Is like my aunt, okay? My Aunt Jean, which is my mother's sister. She was into like hardcore witchy stuff. Like, I think she was a practicing witch. My mom's side of the family is indigenous, and I'm registered with the tribe. I'm Cherokee, and my grandmother was from the Res, And my aunt was really into witchy stuff. She had witches on the walls. My mom and I talk about me being born with a witch's mark. I'm one of the only ones in the family that has it. My aunt also has it. And my aunt was obsessed with Elvira and Tales from the Crypt when I was little. Late 80s, early 90s baby here, And I would spend the night at my aunt's house, and my aunt would be up till 3 a.m. watching Tales from the Crypt, Elvira, and Tales from the Dark Side. And there was something about Elvira that I was obsessed with, and I didn't realize till now that I really feel like I implemented her into my life. Like, she is equal beauty, equal goth girl, equal spooky. And now it came full circle for me in September. In September, I got an email from Elvira's team that said they had found me on social media. They'd watched me on TikTok, YouTube, blah, 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 Instagram. and that they admired my work as a goth makeup artist. They specifically liked that I was not just trad goth, and I took goth to another level, and I pushed the boundaries, and she liked that too, I think, obviously, because yes, she has like the trad goth eye makeup, but her eye makeup, eyeshadow is very pastel goth. And when I first thought that it was like a hoax, I was like, there's no way, this has got to be a joke. And I started interacting with their team, and I realized, no, Elvira and her team handpicked me. And I was not only going to be able to work with her on this upcoming beauty collaboration that she was doing, but she also wanted me to like promote it for her. And in exchange, I was going to be able to meet her privately and have like a private discussion with her. And I got to tape it. I'm going to show you guys some of the footage. I'm stuttering because it's like, the point of me going back to that story is like, Elvira has been one of my #1 like idols since I was a kid. Like, my dad was into country music. I was obsessed with Dolly Parton. I was obsessed with Elvira. And then as I got older, I was obsessed with Gwen Stefani. And, you know, it was weird because it was like, what happens when you meet your biggest idol? And at a time in September, you know, I had overcome all of this like rebirth from the like really hard 2 years that I've gone through. And I feel like I've made it out on the other side. And it was almost like Elvira was there to like greet me and remind me, you know, after the rebirth, when you go through a death and rebirth, it's really painful, right? When you go through a death of your old self, and mine was triggered by the murder of my mom, you shed your old identity completely. And I know, like, from the outside looking in, you're gonna be like, oh, it's not a big deal. No, it's like incredibly painful. Like, for 2 years, like, I could not figure out who I was. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't remember who I was. A death and rebirth is almost this process of losing the person you've ever became, losing everything you've ever known, all to realize that you're all that is. I know that sounds deep, but it was like I had to go full circle through this death and rebirth to totally find myself and my identity again. And by the time September of this year, 23, rolled around, it was Elvira, which is like perfect. It was so poetic for me. It was like poetic justice for me, you know, like I'd gone through such trauma, and it was like she was there to meet me at the end of the tunnel, and it was beautiful. This is the PR set. So I have a link for this and I'll put it below. Of course, I do make commissions on this, but this video isn't just about this, although this was amazing to be able to work with her on this. And when you open it up, you get this makeup bag, which I think is like the best part of it. You know what I mean? Like, her eyes are so like classic, and you get her full makeup line that she basically created in replica of her iconic looks. So let's go over each part. This is almost like a sheer cherry lip gloss. It's called Unpleasant Dreams. But it's actually, it smells like cherries. I don't know. I've never smelled a lip gloss. It's not matte, but it's not a gloss. It's not an oil. It's kind of between all of those. But this is, I wish more companies made cherry scents because it was really good. This is a matte lipstick, and this is her shade in Blood Red. So I'll swatch it next to that. And it's just so surreal. Like, this is so, like, I know I've already done this collab and it's kind of over with, although you can still buy it below. I feel just like it's crazy. She sent me her iconic eyeliner, which is what she uses, and it's got like a felt tip pen. I'll show you guys what that looks like. This is her blush that she uses, which is, it's that typical cherry red cheeks from the 80s, right? And I have the eyeshadow palette. The eyeshadow palette, I accidentally broke one because I dropped the palette, but it comes with a, yeah, don't drop your palette, by the way. It comes with a coffin mirror, which I love. And then these are, I don't have clean hands to show you guys. These are a couple of the shades, and I'll show you the blue one because we know what the white looks like. Yeah, I was like speechless when I found out I was handpicked by her team. I don't think she knows how much it actually meant to me. It wasn't even about the collaboration or like, you know, making money off the product. It was about meeting my biggest idol that I've literally idolized since I was a baby, and I told her about this. To show some of the interview, I'm gonna keep some of the interview to myself just because it's not private. Like, I'm allowed to show it with you guys. I'm allowed to share it. But I just really, I don't know, it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me.
Hi, Elvira. You are perfection. It's so wonderful to meet you.
You too. You look awesome. Everybody has this nice gothy look, and I'm sitting here looking like everybody's mom or something.
No, that's not true. You're Cassandra as well. You have to have two get your personas at home and not at home. My question for you is, as a public figure growing myself, doing makeup, I also do paranormal. I have a paranormal podcast with millions of views. How do you balance, the public persona of Elvira versus the at home of Cassandra? Is there anything special that you do, or how do you balance it so well?
Yeah, I used to kind of get more into the character. Like, for example, I had a house that I decorated completely spooky, and everything was dark and kind of scary. And after many years of doing that, I decided I did need to have a separate personality where I was this person, Cassandra, and that person, Elvira, and not kind of mix the two together so much, so I could really have a separate daytime life and a separate nighttime life. And yeah, so that was a tricky balancing thing. I didn't know how to do it when I first started, so I just had to kind of, as the years went on, I separated the two more.
I struggle with that too. It's like disconnecting from that character you created. And I thought, I'm going to ask her that because I feel like that would be an amazing, some sort of inspiration from you. So I appreciate that. You actually, my aunt was obsessed with you. And at 3 years old, I would sneak out of my bedroom to go watch you with my aunt at 3 in the morning. And I was 3 years old, and they would get so mad at me because they're like, this is not healthy for a 3 year old to be watching spooky stuff. They were scared I was going to get nightmares. And I was obsessed with
And
you.
look how you turned out.
And I know, so you literally were the trajectory of my life. Not only I do paranormal film as well, but also I'm a cosmetologist. So I just want to tell you thank you for inspiring my life. Literally, you're the trajectory of who I've become. So I appreciate you very much.
You're welcome anytime.
Oh, good. Yeah, amazing. I loved all of your stuff. I still watch it sometimes. So it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to see and be a part of. And your world, you've created a world, and even the goth glam world that I'm in, with the makeup side, everybody, you're on this huge pedestal. Everyone's always like, Elvira, Elvira. So you created this amazing character, and you, especially you, just who you are and everything you've done has just been really influential to the goth community.
Thank you. I love hearing that. I'm so happy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love the whole lifestyle, and I love seeing people like you who look so awesome
Thank you.
and carry on the whole look and everything. And like I was saying to somebody earlier, the look is just getting more and more every day. Kind of, it's not like for just special occasions anymore. It's kind of like people wear it all the time, and it's just kind of
It's true. There's
the new
different
normal.
genres. There's like the trad goth, and I'm in the goth glam side, which is more like lace and tulle and more frilly girly side. But it's definitely evolved, and it's ever evolving. That's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, I remember when I used to be weird. Now I'm just a regular person.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong. It's a lot of work I mean, even for me today, it's a lot of work to get.
I know. Tell me about it, sister. Oh,
I asked her a lot of questions. Like, I asked about, how does she realize she's sort of this goth idol in our community? And I don't think I think she knows that. I think because everyone's obviously put her on a pedestal, but to her, I think it was just like, I'm being myself, and she told me as she got older that she realized she had to put like a distinct difference between, work and home life, because she said she used to have, a really gothic house and gothic everything everywhere. And she said that it was just too much. It became too much, and she had to find balance in her life, which I find interesting because a lot of us in the goth community, I mean, I'm looking around at my house right now, I'm sitting in a Gothic chair, you know what I mean? Like everything in my house is Victorian, Gothic, vampire, Halloween. And she basically said that she had to find balance, and eventually she had to get rid of all of that stuff. And she even mentioned, like, look at my house now, like it's plain white walls. She has a couple of little, you know, like statues in random places, but she was like, it becomes too much. And I really found that liberating, because sometimes I feel that way too, especially in the paranormal side. I don't know, she just gave me that pickup that I needed to get back going with paranormal, because, you know, she's most known for, of course, being beautiful, her makeup, her hair, her aesthetic, her fashion, which was her talking and watching, you know, horror films, like walking you through horror films. And I think I didn't realize that that was probably one of the main interests that triggered my paranormal interests when I was a kid. And I think that was what was so poetically beautiful about her meeting me at the end of the tunnel of, you know, this such dark time that I'd been through. It was almost meeting me back at my new rebirth. I might get like choked up by it because it was such an amazing experience. And I know people are gonna say like, no, the coolest thing you've done is work with Zak Bagans, or the coolest thing you've done is work with Motionless and White. I don't think so. I think the coolest thing I've done so far is I got to hang out and talk with Elvira and have a chat, and we both had so much in common, and it just really, I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh, well, Zak Bagans is my #1, you know, idol, and that's what it'd be like to meet him, or Chris Motionless. Yeah, I don't think it's the same. You need to think back of like somebody that's really iconic and big in your life, you know, that has really made a superb difference in your life, even from youth, from childhood. Like, take yourself back, you know, to me, like when I was 3 with Elvira, and meeting someone that's such an icon, and she was so cool, and she was so down to earth, and she was just reminding me, like, follow your highest passion, whatever that is. You know, she's like, I can make me out of nothing, you know, like, she's like, I created this character out of nothing, and it has become my empire. And she was like, don't ever tell yourself that you're not capable of anything, because you are literally capable of whatever you put your mind to, even if it's creating Ghost Girl. I did talk to her about Ghost Girl Diaries, and it was enough for me to say, okay, this is who I am. I'm allowed to be goth and be into makeup and hair and fashion, and I'm also allowed to be the host of Ghost Girl Diaries and go to haunted places and film it and be this badass chick. You know what I mean? Like, it was just total rebirth. And that's part of the reason I haven't been uploading consistently to YouTube, is I needed to just sit in this energy for a little bit until I was really ready to share it with you guys, because I know once I get moving with Ghost Girl Diaries, like, if you guys have been my OGs following me for a while, like, you know that, like, when I commit to something, I go in head first, and I'm back ready for Ghost Girl Diaries. Like, I'm fully ready to throw myself into it, even if that means utilizing YouTube again, strictly, without going back to the networks, without going back to production companies. And I'm ready. I miss it really bad. I miss ghost hunting. I know I just had a weird thing that happened at the Haunted Museum, but, you know, it comes with the territory of the job. And Elvira just reminded me that it's okay to be weird and be spooky and be yourself in life unapologetically. So I hope you guys can take some of her advice that I've shared with you, that she shared with me. And if you want to buy the set, it's still available. I'll link it below. And it was the coolest experience. It was one of those things where I was like, oh, whoa, I just made it to the top of my chain. You know what I mean? Like, I met my biggest idol that I've idolized my whole life. She's probably the very first idol I had, then Dolly Parton, then Gwen Stefani. What do you do with yourself when you do meet your biggest idol? Where do you go from here? And the answer is, I'm ready to live my highest timeline. And it's not just fashion and makeup and beauty and all that stuff that you guys love me for, but it's also bringing paranormal back into my life. I know I took a big back seat, but it's time now. It's time. And I have to have, you know, total faith in my higher self and my spirit guides and the universe that they will start bringing in those opportunities to go to haunted locations, to get back out there, to start filming again, because they know I'm ready for it. So anyway, I love you guys. This was the coolest experience I had, and thank you so much for letting me share it with you. Love you.